Your father wanted you aborted,
That was what really changed her mind permanently about abortion, was when my dad came to her.
and it's never come up?
One of the greatest parts of growing up is seeing your parents as humans. With,
Wow. Your father wanted you aborted,
yeah,
correct?
yeah.
When did you find that out?
Oh gosh. Probably when I was 15 or 16. 16.
How did that come up?
I was living in LA as a child actor. Everybody there was super pro-choice. I think I had been on some set and everybody was like wearing their Bernie pins or whatever, pro-choice. And I just like very innocently asked my mom, I was like, what? Like, could we just like talk through this issue? She was super, I think that's why my brothers and I ended up the way that we did. Like my oldest brother and I are very, very principled in our values and very comfortable like speaking about them openly, because it was like the dinner table and just like even being in the car with our mom was like debate was accepted. The hard conversations were not to be shied away from, whether it was things that were going on in our family or things going on in the world. It was like, no, let's break these down together. She's a very like introspective, she's not academic, but she's incredibly intellectual. And so that was just a normal thing. So I was like, let's talk, let's talk about abortion. Like, I just don't understand, like, what are these two sides of the coin? Like, I just didn't understand the issue. And so we started talking about that, it was just like over the course of a few months. And I think that she had kind of weighed whether to bring that up. But that was what really changed her mind permanently about abortion, was when my dad came to her. I was like, I don't want a child. Like, their marriage was already not great. It was an accident. I don't think he really got along with my brothers very well. And it was just like, I don't want this child.
So you're living in LA, the abortion topic comes up, you bring it up to your mom, and I mean, how did she bring that up to you?
I don't even remember. I mean, but it was probably something that was very straightforward. She doesn't mince words. She's not somebody who is, I guess, soft or like brings anything in.
It's very matter of fact.
Yeah, it's just like this happened, and she had always been, in her mind, she was like, I think she was more pro-life, but kind of understood the pro-choice argument in terms of like government overreach and, it is a woman's body. And then when it was actually an issue that she had to decide and it was put in front of her. And I think that she had to reanalyze the issue from a much more personal perspective. And I think she basically said to my dad, she was like, if you want this so badly, you go make the appointment. And he couldn't bring himself to do it. Because like he couldn't even, it was just like such a threat basically of like, I don't want he just wanted her to go do it.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not. And it was all like,
I mean, how did do you remember like her telling you?
Yeah, but it also didn't surprise me because I knew my dad. My dad and I had never had a great relationship. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah, I guess.
How about today?
Much better.
Have you ever asked him about it?
No.
Will you?
Maybe one day. I've talked about having him on the show and trying to break through a lot of different things. I have a lot more empathy for him as I've gotten older, and I understand him more. Because I think that I saw him for his faults in my parents' marriage, which they both had their faults, but outside of that marriage, I think I saw a broken man who was just not the right relationship. He'd had a really hard family life growing up.
Do you think he'll watch this?
Yeah, probably. He watches everything.
Well, that'll probably strike up some questions.
Yeah, for sure. Like I had done I think he watched the video I did with Raylan where we talked about this and we sang together because she has a song about her mom almost aborting her. So I believe he watched that, but...
And it's never come up?
Mm-mm.
How often do you talk to him?
Every month or so. I definitely still have some boundaries up, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he does as well. But I think in one of the greatest parts of growing up is seeing your parents as humans with their own childhood, their own baggage, God, learning so much about, like I knew what my mom had gone through as a mother of losing a husband. One of my brothers died at 17 years old, going through a really, really bitter divorce and being in a very unhappy marriage. When my other brother now has schizophrenia. I mean, she's just been like hit after hit. Her like joke is like was like Genghis Khan and like former life, like what happened. But seeing that, but then understanding things from her family and her past, of like you see this full human being that as a kid you can't comprehend. And I think I got to start seeing that at a younger age because of her honesty and her transparency. And even her honesty about my dad, of things that he wouldn't bring up, but of her comfort in being able to say, XYZ happened. It's not really my story to tell, but, you know, this happened with your grandfather and your dad. And he went through that. And being able to, like, see that at, you know, 17, 18 years old was like, oh, God, okay. So this was not the right marriage. This was a hard childhood. And this is somebody who has really been lost. I don't think has ever found, like, true fulfillment. And I look at him and I'm just like, I just want to give you a hug, basically. And it's really helped our relationship. And the other thing, too, that I never expected was marrying Alex and bringing somebody into my life who didn't carry the baggage and the weight of growing up in this environment and didn't experience the heartbreaks and didn't experience feeling let down, didn't experience growing up in the shadow of schizophrenia and death and divorce, and was able to look at my dad as just a human, and who was able to find him so endearing and funny and kind. And then being able to see him through my husband's lens of, like, picking up the phone every time he calls and being like, oh, yeah, I just talked to Mike.
Wow. I mean,
and that's made me so much better.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. You know, I want to dive into all of it, but
yeah.
It does sound like you had a really tough childhood, and you know, a lot of the stuff we spoke about at dinner last night. I mean, you know, a lot of people don't get out of that. You know, it just carries on from generation to generation to generation, and somehow, you know, you broke through it. You're obviously a very strong woman. But what did your parents do? What did your mom do?
She was a stay-at-home mom.
She was a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. And your dad?
He worked in finance, like, and not finance in any kind of like really cool or, you know, very, well, like he was a banker at a local bank in Chattanooga doing like nonprofit stuff. And I don't think that's ever what he wanted to do. He was good at it. Mm-hmm. But I think that he would have been a great professor. He's super academic, very esoteric. So I think that's probably also, you know, there's such a lesson in, I think I learned a lot from watching him. There's such a lesson in that of, you don't have to like love everything about what you do, but if you don't find a sort of fulfillment and passion in some sort of your life to fill that void and to fill that cup, you're always going to be searching and you're always going to feel lost and you're always going to, you know, substitute it with other things and other vices. And so I think there's often people kind of like joke about the cliche of like, do what you love. But it's like, if you don't have some kind of like, if you don't feel like what you're doing is important or like it speaks to some part of you and you can't identify that, then you have to find it in some other part of your life. And if you don't have both, I think that's what I watched with him, where there was like, it wasn't in his career, it wasn't in his personal life. He wasn't happy in his marriage. Our family was a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Trapped.
Yeah.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.